What now? And why?
I'm getting woke.
I don't think you're doing what you think you're doing.
I don't expect you to understand the process of the woked.
So you aren't one.
One.
You said you... Wait, what?
What?
You said you're getting woke, so you aren't woke. Therefore, you don't know the process either.
I will transcend your negativity and use the Nimbus cloud as an elegant top hat.
Just open your eyes.
I see it. It's beautiful. It reaches for me. I have but to take its ethereal hand and... I have achieved it.
No, you haven't.
I am woketh.
How?
Your unwokified mind couldn't possibly comprehend.
You kind of look like Cyclops.
Typical vanity from the non-wokitated.
Your third eye didn't roll.
He's above it. You look different with my third eye.
How so?
What are you looking at?
New episodes of Third Eye and Me, Saturdays at 8 p.m. only on the Film Riot channel.
Today, of course, we're looking at how to put an eye in your head, a third one right here. But before we do, if you didn't know, we do have a podcast, the Film Riot Podcast. We just put our 10th episode up with Mike Pecci, who is a filmmaker that is developing his first film with a major studio out in Hollywood. We're always trying to be really honest and get down into the information that people rarely talk about. So check that out in the links below or wherever you listen to podcasts.
You do what he says, or we're gonna have a real fucking problem.
But now to the effect, this one, which started like this. You can see that where the eye was going to be placed, we used a dry erase marker to create a small cross that we would be able to use later to track, since without it, there's very little contrast and a lot of skin warping.
My foot is so much asleep.
But once we sent the clips off to Thompson, he created a new comp in After Effects with the Josh footage. Then he went to animation and track in Mocha AE. Once in Mocha, he used the Create X-Spline layer tool and drew a shape around the marker, making sure translation, scale, rotation, and shear are all checked. He then tracked forward and let Mocha do its thing. Then, once a good track was complete, he clicked Export Tracking Data and Copy to Clipboard. Jumping back into After Effects, he created a null layer, called it Mocha Track, and pasted the Mocha tracking data to it. Now, the null stays fixed to the marker on Josh's forehead. Next, we have to get rid of the marker, so Thompson duplicated the Josh footage by going to Edit and Duplicate, double-click it to open the layers window, and use the Clone Stamp tool, selecting areas around the marker and painting over it until it was no more.
I'm mixing it up.
Back in the composition window, he went to Layer, Pre-Compose, and select Move All Attributes into the new composition. Then he right-clicked on this new comp layer, went to Time, and selected Freeze Frame to turn this into a still image. Then we mask out just the area to cover up the marker, and once that was done, we link it to the Mocha Track null using the Pick Whip. Now the marker is hidden and the new skin layer moves with the rest of Josh. And we could put other stuff there too if we wanted, like this, or this. Alright, why not this? But we're putting an eye there, and in some of the shots we duplicated Josh's eye from the same take, but in others, like this shot here, we filmed a separate take of Josh's eyes moving around with his head as still as possible so that we could make a third eye move independently from the others. But for this shot, we wanted the eye to open at the same time as his real eyes, so Thompson duplicated the original footage and once again went to Layer, Pre-Compose, and move all attributes into the new composition, then renamed it Eye. Jumping into the eye comp, he first duplicated the footage, then on the bottom one, he right-clicked on the layer and selected Track Motion. This takes you into the layer window and brings up the tracking window as well. In this window, we select Stabilize Motion and place the tracking point over the very corner of Josh's eye, since we want to stabilize the footage around this area. Then we're going to click Analyze Forward, and After Effects will play through the clip and stabilize it as it goes. Once that's done, we're going to click Edit Target, and the footage will automatically be selected, so we're going to click OK and then Apply. Thompson then clicked on the top layer that he duplicated earlier, then right-clicked and selected Time, and again Freeze Frame. He scaled up the footage and masked out an area of skin from Josh's cheek and then feathered it. This was then placed above the stabilized eye to cover up his eyebrow.
Yes, you ready?
Heading back into the main comp, Thompson created a solid by going to Layer, New, Solid, and named it Eye Matte, making sure the solid layer is placed above the eye composition layer. He then clicked on Eye and set the Track Matte option to the Eye Matte layer above. This means that the eye layer will now take on the alpha properties of the matte layer above. So on the matte layer, Thompson masked an area around Josh's eye and feathered it. The matte layer was then pick whipped to the eye layer, and the eye layer was pick whipped to the Mocha Track null. The eye was then moved into place over Josh's forehead and we matched the color more by grading with curves and tweaking it to match the footage, and now it looks like this. We aren't done yet, but let's take a quick break for some coffee and sponsors. Domain.com has all your website needs, including .com and .net domain names and intuitive website builders, so you can take the first steps in creating an identity online. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and has all the tools that you need to build a new website so you can start sharing your ideas with the world. No domain extension is going to help you tell your story like a .com and .net domain name. And if you want to brand yourself online, Domain.com has over 300 domain name extensions to fit your needs from .club to .space. Of course, the good people are giving you 15% off. They're already affordable prices when you get domain names, web hosting, and email. Just use that coupon code FilmRiot at Domain.com's checkout. And when you think domain names, think Domain.com.
Logo.
But back on topic, we wanted the third eye to be a surprise when it suddenly opened up. Right now we're seeing it shut too, so Thompson keyframed the mask of the matte layer to shrink when Josh's eye is closed. Then he threw a vector blur on the layer. The vector blur effect can shrink or expand pixels, and for this, we wanted to shrink the eye before it opens, so we keyframed the blur amount over a few frames to go from -23 to 0 at the frame that the eye opens. Thompson also keyframed the opacity so that the layer fades on too, and now the eye appears from nowhere.
Oh my god, that's better.
Now the final step is to add some distortion. So first off, Thompson created a new adjustment layer and renamed it Liquify. Then we put it below the eye layer and threw on the Liquify effect. Then he clicked on the Mocha Track null layer and showed the position by hitting P. Then click back on the Liquify layer, hold down Alt on your keyboard, and at the same time click on the Distortion Mesh Offset in the Liquify effects. This brings up this section here. So click and hold onto the pick whip and drag it up to the position of the Mocha Track null. Once the position is highlighted, let go, and this now links the Liquify effect to the track, meaning that the distortions we make will stick to that area. This can be handy for a number of distortions and different types of effects. But now Thompson went to the frame where the eye has fully opened and used the Liquify tool to drag Josh's forehead above the eye slightly. He then keyframed the distortion percentage, then went back a few frames until the eye was fully closed and set the distortion percentage to 0. Then he highlighted the keyframes, right-clicked, went to keyframe assist, then easy ease. This smooths the keyframes out so it doesn't feel like hard starts and stops. And now with this Liquify effect in, it looks like his forehead moves as the eye opens, like the muscles are moving the skin to make way for the wokeness. For adding an eyebrow like we did in later shots, Thompson duplicated the original footage, renamed it eyebrow, and placed it below the Liquify layer. Then he again went to time and selected freeze frame, and then masked out Josh's eyebrow with the pen tool and feathered, and then we moved it into position above the eye and changed the scale and rotation, then picked whip this to our null. Because the eyebrow layer is below the Liquify layer, it will also get that distortion effect as well, which will help when the eye opens up and make it sell even more. For instance, here it is without the Liquify, and then with. And now with everything, we have this. And for a more animated and bizarre look, the Liquify tool can boost to 200%, which will give you eyebrow sexiness like this right here.
So sexy.
But that's it. Make yourself woke or just Cyclops, whatever your fancy. Again, don't forget about the podcast, because why not? And if you want to get notified about our episodes like this one, make sure you click the bell to be notified when we put up them goodies, because YouTube. And I'll see you next week when no one believes me that I didn't do it. It was the one-armed man.
Dressed to impress, diamonds on